Ego evolution. Terms and conditions. Legal notice: the publisher has strived to be as accurate and complete as possible in the creation of this report, notwithstanding the fact that he does not warrant or represent at any time that the contents within are accurate due to the rapidly changing nature of the Internet. While all attempts have been made to verify information provided in this publication, the publisher assumes no responsibility for errors, omissions, or contrary interpretation of the subject matter herein. Any perceived slights of specific persons, peoples, or organizations are unintentional. In practical advice books, like anything else in life, there are no guarantees of income made. Readers are cautioned to rely on their own judgment about their individual circumstances to act accordingly. This book is not intended for use as a source of legal, business, accounting, or financial advice. All readers are advised to seek services of competent professionals in legal, business, accounting, and finance fields. You are encouraged to print this book for easy reading. Table of Contents. Foreword. Chapter 1. Ego Basics: Why you need to develop your ego. Chapter 2. Work on honesty. Chapter 3. Work on courage and exploration. Chapter 4. Serve others to develop your ego. Chapter 5. Engage with life. Chapter 6. The dangers of a damaged ego. Wrapping up. Foreword. It is important for us all to ensure that our egos are strong and healthy. Our ego is our identity. It is who we believe ourselves to be, and as such is a reference point and our home in the world. The ego is individuality. As our identity, it sets us apart from other people's identity. Get your ego in order here. Ego evolution: the reasons behind and the plan to build a healthy ego. Chapter 1. Ego Basics: Why you need to develop your ego. Synopsis: the ego is the center of consciousness and is the I through which we perceive the world. Our decision-making is determined by our ego, and it implements our will. The ego can be seen as an interface between the human world of society and individuals. The basics: very importantly, the ego is a sentry. It analyzes situations as threatening or beneficial. It reacts to insults, damage to what it sees as its own symbols, or challenges to its circumstances. It is necessary for us all to work to strengthen our egos, and by doing so develop a sense of individuality, independence, self-esteem, assertiveness, presence, and values. Egos give us convictions of our opinions and perspectives, specific tastes and preferences. People in possession of those qualities have egos which can be termed well-developed, well-defined, or strong. A well-developed ego is beneficial in many ways. Individuals with healthy egos approach other people from a position of strength and vigor rather than from neediness or emptiness. Such people can easily forge positive relationships with others. Well-developed egos allow individuals to behave consistently and be stable and trustworthy. People with well-developed egos are not easily swayed by people who try to persuade them with their opinions. Developing a healthy ego means that a person has an effective persona and appears confident, in control, and trustworthy. Chapter 2. Work on honesty. Synopsis: honesty is a key ingredient in developing trust. Trust is a key element in establishing credibility. Our credibility is at the center of our ability to influence others and provide strong leadership. Truth: to be honest is to be real, genuine, bona fide, and authentic. Honesty gives our business dealing openness, reliability, and imparts our values to others. It is important to work on our honesty to establish credibility in our relationships with others. To do this, we must become more transparent. Organizations are essentially a collection of relationships, and honesty is one of the most obvious and neglected to improving relationships and self-awareness. In the workplace, when people choose to be more honest with others, the morale and productivity of the whole team improves in the process. Telling the truth is probably the single most cost-effective and single way to productivity and employee satisfaction. Being dishonest is generally the result of an individual fearing the consequences of telling the truth. Individuals are not upfront when they are afraid. Establishing ground rules in workplace situations and being prepared to listen to reasons as to why something was said, not said, or done encourages staff to be honest. Honest explanations will then be more forthcoming as to why a certain deadline was not met. Developing a written code of business ethics is most helpful when working to develop honesty. Such a code will guide all decision-making and actions. An individual's reputation and track record for ethical behaviors and integrity are vital for establishing the trust that is the basis for all successful relationships that are held, including those with customers, employees, and the community. The old adage of honesty being the best policy is most certainly true in all workplace situations. It allows for a more positive work environment and will help to retain customers and gain others. Chapter 3. Work on courage and exploration. Synopsis. Today, courage is often thought of as synonymous with acts of bravado in the face of fear. However, this is not the root meaning of the word courage. By limiting courage to meaning brave acts, we fail to see the consequences and aspects of exploring new ideas for a project, breaking from consensus, rising above possible rejection, and initiating progress in the face of complacency. Moving ahead. Courage comes from the French word courage, meaning here in spirit. So courage is really about acting from your heart and spirit, from the center of your being, your true identity, hiding a person's ego. Fear can prevent us from acting with courage. If people have regrets, they usually represent times in our lives when they have allowed fearful insecurity to undermine the courageous choice. Recognizing that we all have regrets, the task then is develop courage and the trust that going for it is better than dying without it. This is the difference between the heart and the mind. Learning to stay focused in the present won't eliminate fear, but it can at least prevent people from being stuck in fear. Fear blocks courage. As courage consciousness matures in an individual or organization, there will be large shifts in the perspective about fear. Courage will cradle actions and will allow people to validate the choice of their actions. In order to develop courage and overcome fear, there needs to be a focus on personal development. It is important to get an increasingly accurate view of reality by understanding how reality works and by interacting with reality. People should focus on their goals and objectives and become stronger to be capable of achieving greater success and happiness. It is important that we should develop our courage. We can be afraid, but then we must call on our courage to follow our objectives. Such strength is undefeatable. Chapter 4. Serve others to develop your ego. Synopsis. The word ego has a negative connotation. It is often equated with false self, that image of a person that they have created by themselves. Ego is accepted as a root cause of many of our delusions and sufferings. Ego is often used to describe the tendency to overinflate a person's self-image and is often linked to greed. It implies that an individual loves themselves so much that they would attempt to try to realize their ambitions to the detriment of others. Help out. Many spiritual leaders believe in the wisdom of weakening the ego. Such persons are outnumbered by others who emphatically state that we must all build even stronger egos, as our egos are our character and we should aim for having a strong character with well-defined attributes. Such people believe that one way of building a stronger ego is in the direction of serving others. They believe that the stronger that an ego becomes, the more an individual should push themselves to help other people. By individuals who are capable of undertaking good works or acts of philanthropy, such people offer a necessary service to weaker members of society. By making service to others part of an individual's identity, they further build and strengthen their own ego in a very positive way. There are numerous organizations such as Lions or Round Table that seek to work in this way. There is nothing negative about serving others. How can there be? Whilst doing good works can indeed make some individuals feel good, this is not necessarily a bad thing. Even if a person's ego is strengthened by serving others, that is not negative. The positives of the person's actions far outweigh any big-headedness that unkind people might say they have adopted. It is far better for an ego to be strengthened and a needy individual to be assisted than for the needy person to be ignored. Chapter 5. Engage with life. Synopsis. To engage with life means to awaken one to the opportunities that are present in life. The key to staying engaged with life means to stay hungry for life. If we lose our hunger, then there is a danger that we will become apathetic and we will no longer challenge ourselves, and instead we may just sit back and fail to achieve our real potential. Get on the right path to stay hungry for life. It is essential that we must set new goals, take on new challenges, and be open to new experiences. All of these things may bring about a certain level of discomfort, but we need to experience this discomfort to propel ourselves forward and keep us engaged with life. When we become too comfortable in life, we stop growing and will lose our appetite for life. There is a real danger that we will sleepwalk through life and then one day wake up and realize that we aren't living the life that we had envisaged we would have. If as individuals we find ourselves depressed or apathetic about life, it is important to assess what is happening in our lives and figure out what changes need to be made to ignite the passion within. Often our passion dies when we aren't engaged in activities that challenge us, spur on our creativity, or force us to grow. Living a passionate life makes us excited to get out of bed in the morning. Opening the door to the possibility that there is more out there is vital to living a fulfilling life. Whilst having gratitude and being appreciative of what you already have is important, if you fail to allow yourself to want more, you are robbing yourself and those around you of the best experience that life has to offer. Chapter 6. The dangers of a damaged ego. Synopsis: A damaged ego does not value itself because it doesn't have a healthy, vibrant shape that can summon confidence and self-worth. It can remain damaged. An individual can undermine their own self-worth through negative self-talk and may even carry out activities that undermine their worth in the eyes of others and thereby surround themselves with more opinions that will strangle their crippled ego. Pay attention: there are two main dangers with damaged egos. Firstly, when the individual doesn't seek to repair their ego, or secondly, when they try to repair it through any means possible, especially while relying on self-deception and the opinions of others. The latter danger can be the most damaging or catastrophic. A damaged ego can lead to arrogance and the exaggeration of one's worth and accomplishments. We have all met these persons. The ones who are so depressed by cause of the damage to their ego enter a downward spiral. They withdraw and become uncommunicative and don't desire company and feel worthless and project themselves in that way. This projection of their worthlessness becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Those with overinflated egos become objectionable and arrogant, or worse, can develop into bullies. A healthy ego enables an individual to feel comfortable about themselves and who they are while acknowledging their own strengths and weaknesses. It is also more insightful of the zero opinions of others and therefore can't be the victim of vicious deflated egos that seek to undermine it in order to feel better about them. A person may have amazing qualities, but if they can't acknowledge their own worth through their own eyes and with their own judgment, they may not allow them to fully shine and reveal themselves. Wrapping up: how we perceive ourselves will ultimately determine the quality of life that we have, and it is therefore crucial that we strengthen our own self-worth through genuine growth and take responsibility for our own lives. Thank you for watching my video. See you again.